wait, is the camera rolling? Sorry about that. Welcome to Sunday School Shorts. So this is the last part of our high view vantage point of the gospel story, where we've been examining the Bible storyline and seeing how it has one overarching story that is woven throughout all of its pages. This is Act 4 out of 4, so if you haven't seen the other parts, I encourage you to check them out first. Those acts were called Creation, Fall, Redemption, and this last one is called Consummation. But yes, based on that silly intro, we're going to briefly look, and again I say briefly look, at what happens at the end of time, or what theologians call the doctrine of eschatology. And I said briefly because the study of the end times is not only very difficult and confusing, but it can get very weird. And there's a bunch of different interpretation of events. And it's very easy to get lost in the details trying to figure out what's what. I'm not afraid of looking into those details. However, remember, this is a 50,000 foot view. So instead of focusing on the individual trees, we're taking a broader look at the overall landscape. So with that in mind, it's time for the lesson plan. First thing I'm going to do is tell you what I'm not talking about. Yeah, you heard it right, but I think it's important to set your expectations first. Then we're going to examine where the Bible promises that all of the brokenness we see in this world will one day be no more. Finally, we'll see what this means for us today. So are we all done with the lesson plan? That's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes, and Lenny Bruce is not afraid. Some of you may hear the word eschatology and you may instantly think about the book of Revelation. And if you're not familiar with the Bible, that's okay. But the book of Revelation is the book that most doctrine of the end times is gathered from. And it truly is a fascinating book. However, it's full of apocalyptic language and symbols that many people spill a lot of ink trying to figure out what they mean. There's 7 seals and 7 trumpets and 7 bowls and stars falling from the sky and dragons and beasts and creatures with 7 heads and 10 horns and on and on and on and on. If you came here wanting to hear about those kinds of things, this isn't the video for you. Maybe one day we'll get into those juicy details, but for now we'll have to save that for later. While we will spend some time in Revelation, it's not going to be the deep dive that some of you might be hoping for. I'm also not going to tell you who the Antichrist is, or if the country of Russia is Gog or Magog, referenced in Revelation 20, or if the locusts mentioned in Revelation 9 are actually just Apache helicopters. Look, I don't know. And for many years, I used to go down those rabbit trails, but all it did was create fear and anxiety within me whenever there was breaking news on the television. And I don't think that an anxious or fearful response of the heart was what the original author John was wanting to produce in his original recipients of this letter. The book of Revelation, and more broadly speaking, the study of end times, should not only encourage Christians to persevere in difficult times of persecution, but also hope in the triune God who promised that Jesus would one day return to bring about the completion or consummation of his kingdom. So in our discussion of the end times, the first place we're going to turn to is not the book of Revelation, but instead Romans chapter 8. Romans 8 verses 20 through 23. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption, and attain the freedom, the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. So what's going on here? The Apostle Paul is looking at the world around him with all of its difficulties and brokenness, and he says, you're probably wondering how we got ourselves in this situation. All of this brokenness experienced in the natural created order, disease, sickness, natural disasters, and death. Yes, cancer, tornadoes, hurricanes, famine, floods, viruses, those things didn't exist in the Garden of Eden. Adam's actions brought the world into chaos and destruction. Remember the curse pronouncement in Genesis 3? Cursed is the ground because of you. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. It's all a result of the fall of man that happened in Genesis 3 that we discussed 2 videos ago on the fall. This whole time, from the exile out of the Garden of Eden until now, creation has been longing and looking forward to a day when it will be set free and brought out of this decay. In the Gospel of Matthew, the disciples approached Jesus and inquired about the end of the age. This is what the text says, Matthew 24 verses 3 through 8. As he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And Jesus answered them, See that no one leads you astray, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. and you will hear of wars and rumors of war. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. Birth pains. Talk to any female that's had a child without the use of modern medicine. It's no joke. But with those birth pains, there should be a longing and growing anticipation that newness of life and joy is about to emerge. When a mother hears those cries and sees her child for the very first time, she forgets all about the pain. The prophet Jeremiah in the Old Testament was very aware of the condition of the world when he wrote in chapter 12, "How long will the land mourn and the grass of every field wither? For the evil of those who dwell in it, the beasts and the birds are swept away." Furthermore, one of the major things in the whole book of Ecclesiastes is that all is vanity, this world is cursed, and one day we all will die. However, it wasn't all doom and gloom though. In fact, the Old Testament is littered with prophetic visions of a new heavens and a new earth that tell of a new created order where there isn't chaos, death, or decay. The prophet Isaiah specifically had several of these visions. Here's Isaiah 65 verse 17. "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former things shall not be remembered or come into mind." This new heavens and new earth is portrayed as a beautiful place of harmony and peace. The desert will no longer be a wasteland, but instead will blossom with flowers. Both wild and domestic animals will coexist in peace. Here's what Isaiah 11 verses 6 through 9 says. "The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the lion and the fattened calf together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the cobra, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as waters cover the sea." Children shouldn't be playing with snakes, and lions normally eat the ox, not enjoy a 3-course meal of grass together. The picture Isaiah is painting here is of total harmony and peace within the created order. No more strife, no more tension, no more violence. It will all be gone. And when the Lord speaks of a new heavens and a new earth, this isn't so much a brand new one, as if he's throwing the old one in a trash heap and starting afresh, but instead it's talking about a renewal of the old. What's become dirty and broken will be cleansed and set right again. One of the best images to describe this can be found in C.S. Lewis's work, The Last Battle, which is the last book of the Chronicles of Narnia series. In it, we find Lucy, Edmund, Lord Diggory, and Jewel the Unicorn lamenting that the land of Narnia is no more. But upon further inspection, they realize that they are still in Narnia. It's just not the same Narnia that they once knew. Here's what it says, so sorry if you've never read it. "The eagle is right," said Lord Diggory. "The Narnia you're thinking of was only a shadow or a copy of the real Narnia, which has always been here and always will be here, just as our own world, England and all, is only a shadow or copy of something in Aslan's real world. You need not mourn over Narnia, Lucy. All of the old Narnia that mattered, all the dear creatures, have been drawn into the real Narnia through the door. And of course it is different as a real thing is from a shadow or a waking life is from a dream. The new Narnia was a deeper country. Every rock and flower and blade of grass looked as if it meant more. I can't describe it better than that. If you ever get there, you will know what I mean. It was the unicorn who summed up what everyone was feeling. He cried, 'I have come home at last. This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I've been looking for all my life, though I never knew it till now. The reason why we love the old Narnia is that it sometimes looked a little like this.'" And that's exactly what we experience here too. Those little moments of joy in life where all is right in the world, those moments are meant to point you to a future where there won't be any more disappointments, sadness, or sorrow. Even the hymn composer Isaac Watts had the new heavens and the new earth in mind when he penned the Christmas carol, "Joy to the World." Listen to the words of the 3rd verse. "No more let sins and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow, for as the curse is found, for as the curse is found, for as the curse is found." Thorns infesting the ground and curses, that's bursting with language from the account of the fall in Genesis 3. Yet joy has come unto the world because the Lord has come to undo what's gone wrong. So what does that mean for us today? Well, hope. It gives us hope. Remember in Romans 8, which we looked at earlier, said that creation was subjected to futility in hope that it itself would be set free from its bondage to corruption. And if we look just a couple lines earlier, the Apostle Paul said, quote, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." Think about that. We're often overwhelmed by the brokenness here. I'm a big baseball fan, and every year during the World Series, they take a moment of silence to stand up to cancer, where everyone stands up and holds a sign to honor someone they've either lost or who's in the midst of a battle against cancer. It's a powerful moment, but think about this. Everyone standing is either affected by or personally knows someone who's tasting the bitterness of a deadly disease. But one day the Bible promises that cancer won't even be a drop in the bucket. Disease, loss, decay, death, it won't matter then. The glory and the goodness that we experience in the new heavens and the new earth will make whatever trial we go through here look like that time we once skinned our knee in the playground. It will be just a distant memory. All that sounds great and all, but isn't that really far off? It's hard to have joy sometimes in the here and now just by imagining some future holiday at the sea. Today we might be staring death or loss in the face, and if that's you right now, I just want to say I'm sorry. Life can be extremely painful, and I understand that I don't know you or whatever it is that you're going through, so I hope I'm not coming across as downplaying your situation. The reality is, I'm in here by myself talking to a camera, and I don't know who's going to watch this. But if anyone out there is watching and they're hurting, the best thing I can do right now in my position is encourage you with truth from Scripture. Jesus knows exactly what you're walking through, and not just in a he's all-knowing kind of aspect because he's God, but on a personal and intimate level. He once lived here himself, and he saw the world's brokenness through his own human eyes. He saw, smelled, heard, tasted, and touched for himself elements of brokenness while he was here. When he saw that his friend Lazarus had died, Jesus wept. People with all sorts of diseases, ailments, and problems approached him all the time. So he not only knows you, but he understands your pain because he's very familiar with it, and he even tasted death himself. Os Guinness wrote, quote, "Christianity is the only religion whose God bears the scars of evil." End quote. So if you take one thing from this video, just know that God understands your pain on a deeply and personal level, and He loves you. And these difficult moments should make us long and hope for heaven even more, and longing for heaven can strengthen our faith as we face whatever pain we're currently experiencing or will come our way. It's time for snack time. Today's questions are, often our picture of heaven is more informed from Tom and Jerry cartoons rather than the Bible. But do you ever think about heaven? How does your picture of heaven and how the Bible portrays heaven compare? And finally, why do you want to go there? In closing today, I want to leave you with something to think about that I heard several years ago that really challenged me. Pastor John Piper, in his book, God is the Gospel, proposes that the greatest joy of heaven is not there being no more sin or sorrow or sickness or being reunited with our loved ones. No, he says that the greatest joy of heaven will be being in the presence of God. Here's the quote. "If you could have heaven with no sickness and with all the friends you ever had on earth and all the food you ever liked and all the leisure activities you ever enjoyed and all the natural beauties you ever saw, all the physical pleasures you ever tasted and no human conflict or any natural disasters, could you be satisfied with heaven if Christ were not there?" Alright everyone, that's all I have for today, and my voice is completely shot. Thanks, allergies. I really appreciate all the support and feedback y'all have given so far. It really means a lot to me. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button though, it will really help me out if you click that button down there. Also, please share this on whatever social media platform you use. I can't keep up with them, but if we grow this channel by word of mouth, that'll be awesome. If you feel inclined to give financially though, I've also set up a Patreon page with different rewards and tiers. Y'all know how Patreon works. As always, please be courteous to others in the comment section. Take care and have a wonderful day.